Hello, everybody, and welcome into another edition of Tuesday Night Thunder, Season 5 with race number 8 on the season here tonight. Thank you all so much for tuning in. You are watching Austin Green on PGR eSports. Normally, co-host Dawson would be joining us, but tonight he is down on the track. Going to get some more action with these drivers here tonight, so we'll be keeping an eye on him. But again, before we get any further into it, looks like qualifying is complete. Drivers are gridding up, so let's get right down into it and get into tonight's starting order. Taking the pole, it's going to be the Coke Series driver Garrett Maines, puts down a 54.230. Rolling off on his outside in second here tonight, it's going to be the Canadian driver Kyler Wynn in the 82. Ethan Eckert will start back in third with Mark Von Dell from McCullough Motorsports to his outside in fourth. Then it's Landon Velicky for Nightmare Esports back in fifth. Matt Lee will roll off sixth here tonight. Justin Mills back in the seventh spot with John Mullihan. He will start in eighth here tonight. And rounding out row number 5 in your top 10 is going to be Chase Mastretta and Devin Ray. David Sheets in the 06, he'll roll off from the 11th spot here tonight. Then it's going to be Mike Davenport rounding out the outside of row number 6. Dawson Wise, he'll start 13th here tonight running for the Jack Shack. And then it's going to be Richard Elliott who starts back in 14th. Michael Triscaro starts 15th. Christopher Carter to his outside in 16th. Then it's going to be Malik Ray back in 17th with Andrew Navarro in the 44 in 18th. And rounding out your top 20 is going to be Sean Corbett and Heath Jobe. Larry McDonald will start 21st. Jared Haynes to his outside in 22nd. It's going to be Jeff Merck in 23rd. And then it's the NBG Motorsports driver of Matthew Baker. He starts 24th. Dylan Jones, Logan York in row 13 with the Hyper Motorsports captain John Ward. Trevor Ostronaut for the Jack Shack to his outside in 28th. Joshua McCullough 29th and Brock Westmoreland for PGR eSports rounds out the top 30. Evan Carlbon, Josh Gambrone make up row 16. It's Christopher McCullough and Kenneth McCullough Jr. back in row 17. Tucker McClendon will start 35th here tonight. It's Jimmy Emos to his outside in 36th. All right, taking a look at your race info. Kind of the same deal as what we saw last week at Daytona. It's going to be 60 laps in the Xfinity Series here tonight. 40% fuel, 3 sets of tires, no fast repair. So you got to be careful, especially through this first stage. We know it's going to be aggressive. And speaking of that stage, it will come to a conclusion at the end of lap 20. Talladega Superspeedway, just over 2.5 miles in length, over 30 degrees of banking in the corners, and long straightaways for a lot of pushing and shoving. 88 degrees going to be the starting track temp here tonight. 80 degrees outside, 44% humidity, cloudy skies, and winds at 3 miles an hour. All right, well, the pace car will make the left turn down to the pits as the field now being let into the hands of Garrett Maines and Kyler Wynn. Here we go, the playoffs. They're closing in. It's crunch time for a lot of drivers still trying to get themselves locked in. Don't forget, it is win and you're in. Let's see who gets to victory lane here tonight. Green flag is in the air. We're racing at Talladega. Lap 1 is complete, and it goes to the 62 of Landon Velicky. Right now, he is on point on the high side of the racetrack. Just to his inside, it's the number 12 of Ethan Eckert. He's getting a big push from Garrett Maines as they now work through the banking in 1 and 2. Big wiggle on the outside. Man, oh man, Kyler Wynn almost got sideways and went around, but he's going to be able to hold on to it. He'll now stay tucked on the inside for the moment. Excuse me, stay tucked on the outside rather, but Landon Velicky now at the top of 3 wide. He's got nowhere to go, and hold on to it, almost 4 wide there is Chase Mastretta. He had nowhere to go, and man, already you see a lot of cars getting out of shape in just the opening laps, and this isn't so much due to a handling issue. This is just a lot of aggression in the opening laps here tonight. Don't forget that stage break. I know we said it's pretty early with being on lap 20, but I mean, that is still plenty of time, a lot of miles to run. And man, to see that many close calls, I think if I was driver sitting in the middle of this pack, I'd be bailing out pretty early, but so far, everybody's still trying to stay aggressive, trying to get a feel for it. How about shooting up right now on the inside? Dawson Wise in the number 9. Talked about normally our co-host joining us in the booth, but we saw him actually race with these guys at Michigan just a couple weeks ago, and the driver out of Knoxville, Tennessee, is out trying to do it again. Malik Ray, Kyler Wynn, boy, they have been the story of the money racing scene over the last couple of weeks for a variety of season. And at the end of the day, some drivers love them, some drivers hate them, but you got to give them credit because they always find a way to get in the payouts, always finding a way to get the job done. So if you're trying to go to the front, look for that 82 and the number 7. That's going to be who you follow to get there. Veliky now back even with the one of Garrett Maines. They are 3 by 3 as they work their way through the tri-oval. Veliky not going to be able to get clear now that Lee drops to the middle. That is really going to hurt the momentum of the 62 now, but here comes some help. The cavalry, here comes the 7 of Malik Ray, along with the 82 of Kyler Wynn. And once they get locked up, this outside should start to get moving again. And, you know, we'll probably mention this a few more times over the next couple weeks before it kind of becomes set in stone for not only the drivers racing, but also the people watching at home. This is still a relatively new update in these Xfinity cars. And, you know, the drivers here, they've had a lot of practices. We see most of these guys, not just in this series, but in series throughout the week as well. And the reason I mention that is because we're going to be keeping a very, very close eye on who's able to figure out these cars the quickest. Now we're going to go 4 wide. Further back, here goes Malik Ray. They split out Landon Veliky. Kyler Wynn and Devin Ray, they're both going to go with them. And Veliky has no help. Now he'll get some from Jeff Merck, but it may be all a little too late. Now they get into each other just a little bit. Devin Ray is going to get pushed up into the outside wall. He'll catch it, but he's going to have to back off. Now they'll get back down to 3 by 3, but up front, the first 2 rows still 2 by 2. Eckert leading on the outside. Garrett Maines leading on the inside. 40% fuel, expecting these drivers to make it somewhere probably around the lap, anywhere from 14 to 18 marker before they have to make that first stop. We'll see some drivers probably do it sooner than others. Either way, you cannot make it to the end of this first stage without hitting pit road at least once. Big question is going to be whether it's under green or if it's under caution. That was another big wiggle right there from the 04 of Matt Lee through 3 and 4 as Michael Triscaro was trying to get him a push out to the front, and now Veliky and Kyler Wynn, they get a little bit offset of each other, and that's going to stall the outside now just a bit. We'll hop on board here with the 82 of Kyler Wynn. He's got probably the hardest job right now in terms of doing the most pushing because he is stuck on this outside and not a lot of help to go around right now. Veliky, who was sitting just behind this 82, has since bailed, jumped to the inside, and now they're waiting for the next car up, and that's going to be the 89 of Trevor Osranoff, who you saw right there looking out of the rear camera. Oh, one off. Looks like the 06 of David Sheets. Can he hold on to it? Yes, he does. Sheets trying to merge back up. Now Merck's got to bail to the high side, but they're all able to gather it back up. Merck was able to drop back low. But man, oh man, watch this for David Sheets. A close call as he got shot out of line as they were working down the backstretch. And let's see, I think this is just going to be some contact either from behind or from the outside. And we'll play it slow for you just once here. Watch this. Is there a little bit of a stack up? And it has a little bit of one. David Sheets sees it. A couple of them dive low. Sheets has to check up as well. You see the fire out of the pipes, and then, boy, just slight contact. But we talked about how kind of on edge these cars are now. Just that slight hit from Veliky, who is also trying to check up, gets David Sheets way out of line. And then, man, close call right there for the 60 of Merck and the 55 at Davenport as Sheets tried to merge back up. 7 of 60 laps complete. The 12... Excuse me, not the 12 now, actually. In fact, that's a 19, rather, of Justin Mills, it looks like, now trying to lead this high side, and looks like he is running the number 12 car, so that makes it 2 number 12s on the front row. Eckert on the inside, Mills on the outside, followed by Garrett Maines and Landon Veliky, and all this 2x2 action has certainly stirred up quite a few opportunities to get this third lane working, but not many drivers have found too much success. Malik Ray, Kyler Wynn, boy, they've tried it a couple times, but still no cigar as of yet. And now on the outside, we're going to see for PGR eSports, but tonight running for NBG Motorsports, Michael Triscaro in the 34. He's going to try to get something going as now Malik Ray will jump just in front of that 34, and that'll make it a 3-car tandem now down the backstretch. Watch for anybody else to jump up. Dawson Wise in the 9 jumped down. Matthew Baker is going to have to fill the gap. Here comes help from the 89 of Trevor Osranoff. Baker, is he going to go third lane? Yes, he will. Matthew Baker is now going to take a peek to the outside, and they are going to go back to 3x3. Well, good a time as any to introduce one of our driver cams here tonight. It's Matthew Baker, but we're going to hold that thought because here comes pit stops. Can't everybody get in nice and smooth? Eckert's going to lead him down. He'll be followed by the 62 of Veliky, the 8 of Chase Mastretta, and multiple others. Looks like Dawson Wise. He brought it down. Matt Lee, John Ward. and a few others. And so as they'll make this first pit stop, it's going to be interesting to see if we see this other group work their way down this time. And normally we wouldn't do this, but I did have a bit of a kind of a brief family emergency text that I have to tend to real quick. So we're going to go ahead and take a brief break. We'll be right back. Stick with us at Talladega.
I played a couple of simulators, and this was like very responsive, especially the hydraulics and stuff, the motion and stuff was really, really on point.
Make you feel like you're really driving, it feels real.
It adds so much to the experience. It's just really, really cool.
It was pretty awesome.
Welcome back to Talladega Superspeedway with 11 of 60 laps complete in race number 8 of Season 5. Again, apologize for the early commercial break, but I had to make sure everything was tied up okay with the family, so appreciate everybody sticking around as we now go back live. Jeff Merck currently leading the way as this is just about the end of the pit sequence. We saw pretty much two giant groups kind of lead them down the way things panned out, and Jeff Merck looking like he got the best of them all as he now finds himself out in front. And speaking of, with just about 8 laps to go, I mentioned here, and in fact, let's go back here and see if we can take a look at some of the pit stops. This was the first group making their way back out, I believe, but if we go all the way down here, this is some of the guys that pit in the second group right here. Justin Mills, Malik Ray, and a few others here. Let's see if they all got in okay here, if somebody had an issue. I know we were on the side-by-side during it, so I want to make sure that we didn't miss anything. As also want to check on just if we did indeed have everybody make their pit stop yet, as I did not see Merck and them go in, and that might very well explain why they currently have themselves out in front and in the lead, as it looks like, yeah, they indeed did stay out, at least for now. So we have not seen a pit stop from your leaders, at least not as of yet, but here we go, right on cue. They're going to make their pit stop now, first one of the night. It looks like everybody gets in clean except one out back. Whoa, man, absolutely flying through the pits. That was Larry McDonald. He wasn't even close to making it down to pit speed. And I got to think that was some sort of issue there for the driver of the number 80 to be coming in that quickly, that late. Man, Larry McDonald, boy, that could have been a whole lot worse had there been any drivers nearby. Let's hop on the cockpit view. Is it just a late commitment here for Larry? Let's see. Works his way off for 4. Gets it down to the apron. And he gets off the gas soon enough, but just... oh, I'm not sure what the deal was there, if his brakes weren't working or what. I mean, you hear the downshift, but just never really got slowed up much at all. And has to bail to the grass. And yeah, he must be having a technical issue because he is riding around in the grass right now on the inside of 1 and 2. As, oh man, see the whole field go roaring by, and this will hand the lead over now to Garrett Maines, who leads the pack. Ethan Eckert in second, Navarro in third. Now Eckert's going to block a run from the 44. He'll now move to the high side. Can Malik Ray get enough of a push to get to 12 clear? Oh man, it's close. Navarro was trying to stick on him long enough. It's not going to work out. Eckert wiggled into 3, and now Garrett Maines is going to be able to draw back even. We'll be coming to 7 laps to go in the stage when they cross the line this time around. Garrett Maines continues to lead the way. In fact, and if we talk about the points and what he's done so far with the season, he's already got himself a win, and you already know he has got himself some stage wins to go with that as well. And really the regular season battle was pretty tight between him and 2 other drivers, Matt Lee and Matthew Baker, but after some of the let's say, incidents, if you will, that took place last week. Matthew Baker actually dropped a position when Matt Lee got the win. Lee now moves up to second in that points battle, but it is still Garrett Maines who currently leads the battle for the regular season championship. And, you know, we're starting to really dial in now on the last stretch of the regular season. In fact, here tonight, you know, the end of December, we've only got, looks like about 4 more races or so. Maybe make it 5. The end of October, or rather the week before the last week of October, will be the final race of the regular season, so it's closing in quick. And as we mentioned earlier at the start of the broadcast, a lot of drivers still trying to lock their way in. Well, we had one that had to go back down the pits right there. Larry McDonald currently is in the pits, but I was trying to figure out exactly who it was that we just saw go down right there. Yeah, I'm struggling to do so at the moment here. If we go to the pit lane cam, I swore I saw at least somebody go down to the pits right here. Not seeing anything from this view. There we go. Josh Gambron, yeah, sure enough. In the M&M's Toyota Supra. Not sure if he had a penalty or what the deal is for the 54 here. Or rather the 49, but he's going to bring it out. And he'll have some work to do here. He's going to need that caution. And he's going to need it relatively soon. Back up front. Look at this. Pack now going to space out 3x3 as they work their way off of turn 4. Maybe 4x4. Here we go. Jeff Merck, he's going to work to the high side here. Michael Triscaro is going to go with them. They're going to draw even with Logan York. And the question is, how long can they hold it on the outside? They're going to need a little bit more help. Does anybody else think about jumping up? They're still kind of getting stalled out. Only 2 cars, not enough help to really go forward at the moment. And you can see just how tight it is up there. Logan York on his inside. Merck's going to fade here. And he'll drop right back in behind the 0-2 of Logan York. And they're going to group up. And I wouldn't be surprised to see these two potentially jump to the high side yet again. Logan York's going to go this time. Back to 4 wide. Merck says no thank you. He will not go with the 0-2. Triscaro's going to try to stick with the 60 of Merck here. We'll see if it's enough to work out. And yes, it will. They'll get clear of the 0-2 of Logan York. York's going to now have to jump in just in front of David Sheets. In the middle now, Jeff Merck still trying to climb his way through this pack. Garrett Maines Eckert still leading the inside and the outside, but here comes that third lane again. Malik Ray getting pushed by Landon Velicki and Matt Lee. This time it'll be officially 4 laps to go here in the stage. And if we got a caution at this point, that would end the stage. So all bets are going to be off here over the course of the next 3 3/4 of a lap or so. And they are coming up on a lapper here. That's the 71. Hold your breath here just briefly. Going to go 4 wide. Doesn't matter if it's on the straight or the turn. That was Evan Carlbon, another driver who's needing this caution to come out sooner than later. He's going to hope that he can stay kind of tagged on to the back of this lead group and potentially get one of those 2 laps back here at the stage break. Christopher Carter right now also being scored a lap down. And then for Larry McDonald, still sitting in the pits. So his night may officially be over. Dicing it back up. Garrett jumped to the high side. Eckert was able to cover. Those two are going to have a big run here on the 44 of Navarro, who awaits help from the 8 of Chase Mastretta. And man, Chase did not get to him there at a good time. In the middle of the tri-oval, Chase couldn't push. And boy, this has really killed the momentum now on this outside. Garrett's going to get clear along with Ethan Eckert. Now Malik Ray, he'll also get clear. Who's going to be the first car to jump to the inside? It'll be Malik. Garrett's not able to cover. Watch for Ethan Eckert. What's he going to do? He'll now jump to the inside as they work their way onto the backstretch. The outside will draw back to even. No third lane yet. They're almost 4 wide out back. Logan York getting split again. He cannot seem to find really any helpers at the moment. And he'll have to jump in just in front of the 05 of Joshua McCullough now. As Garrett Maines looking for another push, maybe one more to get clear and try to lead this inside all the way back to the green and white checkered. He's not going to be able to do it yet. You see a couple more lap cars in the distance. We'll see if they play any factor here in the finish of this stage. But it is now officially 2 laps to go. As they cross the line that time, the 82 of Kyler Wynn. He is now leading the surge on this top lane. Watch for the 62 of Elicki. He's got a chance to jump out if he chooses to do it. We'll see if he decides to go. So far, he is not committed. There he goes. The 62 is going to jump to the outside. Kyler Wynn will give him a shot. Jeff Merck lines up on the back bumper of Garrett Maines in the middle. And Malik Ray trying to push Eckert and himself clear one more time as they work off into 3. The 7 of Malik Ray all but is clear. Not quite enough yet. Garrett Maines trying to fight back. Will the 7 have enough to jump up? No, he will not. Eckert now hanging in the middle. He'll jump to the high side. Merck's going to split 3 wide. This will be coming to the white flag in the stage. And here we go, 3x3, 1 lap to go in the stage. Dawson Wise, he was caught in the middle of this mess earlier. Looks like he maybe has had enough because he has jumped a little bit further back, now hanging towards the back. And here we go. We're going to see 4 wide again. Logan York and Josh McCullough, they're now going to try to jump to the high side. There goes the 04 Matt Lee. He's going to do the same as well. Merck's going to get shoved out of line now. He'll get hung 4 wide. Velicki looking to the middle. Matt Lee's going to follow. There are still 2x2 for the lead up front into turn 3 for the final time in stage 1. Final push is going to be set up to be made here as they work their way off of turn number 4. Now maybe a little bit of contact between the 7 and the 12. Final gas down the short chute into the tri-oval. Velicki's got another run. Matt Lee pushing for all he's worth. York's going to split to the high side. Eckert looks for the side draft on Malik Ray. Who gets here first? Malik Ray is going to take it in the 7. Stage is over. Caution is out, and Malik Ray is your stage winner. And how about that for a finish for the stage? Oh my goodness. And I'm hoping we see more of that for the end of this race. I mean, that was incredible stuff. 3 and 4 wide for just about the entirety of the laps we ran after the pit sequence. But it's Malik Ray, who we mentioned earlier, continues to be on a tear. These guys are trying to find an answer for him. And they will not here in the stage. Now, this isn't going to necessarily help the 7 as he is not running full-time for points this season. Still always good to try to get that stage victory, get a little bit of track position, get himself some confidence for the later portion of this race. All right, well, everybody going to group up with the pace car. We will see a round of pit stops as everybody's going to top off with fuel, take fresh tires, and then we will get ready for the start of the final stage. When we come back, well, I was going to say we'll see if we can get an interview with Malik Ray, but looks like he is not in the Discord. So nonetheless, we'll see if we can maybe get an interview with somebody else that finished top 3 in the stage. But before we do actually go to another quick break here, let's go back and look at this stage finish. I mean, this was about all you could ask for here. Watch it from the zoomed-in view. 3 wide, everybody pushing and shoving to the checker. The 4th lane was coming, but just not enough time. And then Malik with a little bit of a better push there as Navarro. You saw they started to get a little bit offset. I think that's why Navarro bailed kind of right there at the last second. He knew that even though he wanted the 7 to get the stage win, at the end of the day, it was just a stage. Look at the photo finish for second. And I'm not even sure who that went to from that angle. I would have to think it was Velicki. Let's see if we can get one more frame over. Right there. I believe that's going to go to the 62 of Velicki, grabbing second in that stage. But either way, man, what a finish here in the opening stage tonight at Talladega. And by the way, looking at that finish right there, we can actually show you another one here. Man, look how close it was. But yes, it was indeed Velicki that was able to take second there in the stage. All right, we're going to go ahead and head to commercial break. We'll be back and see if we can maybe get an interview with your second place finisher in the stage. Stick with us here at Talladega.
I played a couple of simulators, and this was like very responsive. Especially the hydraulics and stuff, the motion and stuff was really, really on point.
Make you feel like you're really driving. It feels real.
It adds so much to the experience. It's just really, really cool.
It was pretty awesome.
Green flag is in the air. We are racing.
Three by three. Almost no trouble around
goes Alex Hill. On into the outside wall goes Hill. They're wrecking big time out back. We're not going to throw a caution. To the finish. Who gets it in the line? Cody Nagels wins it in Talladega.
Welcome back to Talladega Superspeedway. Stage 1 is complete. Your stage winner was Malik Ray, as you see him getting ready to line up for the restart. He will not be scored as your leader, and neither will second place finisher Landon Veliky. But I wanted to see if we could get a quick word with him here before we go back green. Landon, this is Austin in the booth. You got a copy?
Yes, sir.
Well, so far so good, and man, normally I'd be saying how's the car feeling, but I'm more curious about how did it feel to be in that pack with all the action we saw 3 and 4 wide there.
Super sketchy. It was a lot of fun, but it was a lot of, swinging, I'll say, going on. And there has been for a while, and it kind of seems to be building up right now. Super fun to be a part of, though. Glad to have my teammates with me. Matt Lee saved me a few times there. But it's been a lot of fun so far.
Well, you're looking to get yourself officially locked in. Still looking for that first win on the season. You've looked good so far here tonight, but what's going to be the key here in the final stage?
Most likely just having the team behind me. It's always been power in numbers, and it's even more so right now because there's a lot of, like I said, there's been a lot of beef building up, and you can see the way we raced right there. It was a lot of lots of disagreements on the track, so I hope as long as I got my team with me, I'm super confident. I've been so close to winning like 3 times this year, and I'd really like to get one before the playoffs start.
We'll see if it happens. Look good so far here tonight. We'll see if we're talking to you again at the end of this thing.
Yes, sir. Appreciate you.
There we go, Landon Veliky. And you know what? If I was a driver, that's most likely kind of what my thought would have been on why we're seeing this kind of racing up front. Everybody, he used the term swinging, and you know what? That might be a little bit more of a Jack Shack term, but we'll go ahead and leave it with the term of kind of a little bit of an ego battle, maybe, if you will, going on between some of these top guys. But hey, that makes it all the more fun to watch. So here we go. 24, going to be 25 laps complete. Ward and Job will lead the front row back to green. And that puts Hyper Motorsports back on top. Matthew Baker, John Mullihan, row 2. Mike Davenport, Garrett Maines, row 3. Green flag is back in the air. 36 laps to go at Talladega. And it's a good restart for both guys on the front row, but it looks like Matthew Baker gets a good enough push to John Ward that he's going to be able to jump up himself. And now he's in position to try to push the 760 of Heath Job through 1 and 2 and down the entirety of the back straightaway. And watch it from TV3. This outside, man, they're able to line up so well on this first lap. That's where all the momentum really comes from is Davenport. He's going to try to now get back to help his teammate, but it's not going to be enough. The 760 of Heath Job, he gets clear. He'll now move down to the inside of the racetrack, and that lines up Hyper Motorsports 1-2 on the bottom. John Mullihan from McCullough Motorsports. We know how much he likes to run up front, and right now he's got himself in a good position to potentially cash out here tonight. Well, we talked about some of the drivers that are running the series versus some of the drivers that are just running the race for the payouts itself. And speaking of payouts, what they're looking like here tonight, this was based off of, and in fact, make sure I get this up right for everybody that's watching tonight. And actually, I take that back. We'll keep it on the 3-wide action, but here's what it's looking like. Based off 30 entries, and we had over that here tonight. $142 to first, $103 to second, $97 to third, $85 to fourth, $80 to fifth, and $63 to sixth. And you might be wondering, well, you know, $20, $25 feels like not the highest payouts. Well, 120 of that, and that's just from tonight going to that championship fund. Oh, trouble. We got 2 turned around on the apron. Mullihan was 1. Now Mastretta. Is he going to go for a loop? Mullihan slides back up the banking. He'll keep from getting hit. As further up, did everybody else hold on? It looks like they did. And so John Mullihan going to be the only victim of this one here. That could have been a whole heck of a lot worse. I think the 2-car got away with one right here. So we saw some contact for a few other drivers, but it didn't look like anybody else actually went around and came to a halt. At least not the way the number 2 car did here of John Mullihan. So let's see here. This is just about 3 laps from the halfway point. Just as we got back going green here on the stage. Let's see what happens to get Mullihan out of shape. It was just as they were entering turn 3. There was some contact, presumably here. Oh, I wonder if Mullihan gets either some help from out back or if he thinks he's clear here. Just wasn't quite. Here we go. Watch it slow. You see the pink, black, and white car right in the middle. And that's close to say. I think, boy, that's really, really hard to call from there because it looks like Garrett Maines is on his back bumper, but at the same time, you wonder if Mullihan was either just trying to kind of get under Baker or if he thought he was clear of the inside. It's really kind of hard to tell, and I'm not even sure here if Garrett was actually pushing him at the time this two got loose. Boy, if he was, it had to be just ever so slightly. But we know that with these cars, that could be all it takes. Let's hop on the onboard view here, see if this gives us any better indication. I think Mullihan thought he was clear. I think that's what it was. And again, I could be wrong. We can only see what we can see from up here in the booth. But, I mean, watch the steering wheel. You never really see any input to the right, which when you see that, that's usually an indication of a driver pushing out back, turning that car left, and he's trying to counter it. But that's not really the case here. It looks to me like I said, trying to get under Baker and probably thought he was clear. And, I mean, it was relatively close, but just didn't quite have it. And so when he goes to turn down here, watch this. He's got a bit of a run. Kind of close, but I mean, for John Ward, he's still hanging there right around the quarter panel, the left rear quarter panel of Mullihan. When Mullihan comes down, the 92 gets collected. Luckily for Ward, though, he's kind of able to just kind of push through that 2 car, if you will, so that he's able to keep going. And in fact, we'll go up to Ward here because I wanted to make sure there was no secondary incident here as he hopped back up on the racetrack. So there's the contact that sends the 2 around. Ward gets back up. Davenport gives him some room. Boy, nice job by Mike Davenport to see and react to that right there. Malik Ray was able to check up, as was the 7 of Jared Haynes. So nicely done by everybody right there to avoid any further incident. And then, of course, we saw Chase Mastretta kind of had a close call of his own through this. Watch the 8 cars. Boy, he got wicked sideways as David Sheets out back. They see the checkup and just kind of gets into the back of Eckert, and then the 06 gets into the back of him. And, man, that's a wicked save for Chase Mastretta. That car got just about 90 degrees sideways, not once, but twice. And watch this again. From the cockpit view, there's the contact, and man, look at that. Some drifting action there. Nicely done by Chase Mastretta to hold on to that one. The rest of the field, besides that, was able to get around. We could show you from the rear chase view here. And doesn't look like we saw Mullihan slide back up, but I don't think there was any further contact. Looked like that might have been Josh Gambrone in the 49 who had to make the evasive maneuver to the inside to avoid contact as well. For John Mullihan, wonder how that wreck's going to affect where he was running. Well, he's going to lose all his track position, but again, I think for him, he's just happy to know that he didn't really get any damage from this one, especially with the way it looked like things were going to turn out there when he first went around. I mean, anytime a car slides back up the banking, you get nervous, it's going to be pretty big, but not too bad, all things considered here for the 2. Let's give you one more view of this here. Go to the zoomed in cam. Watch this. See if we can get a little bit further back. All right, so here we go. Watch it to a Mullihan. Thinks he's clear. Not quite. Comes across the nose. Goes for a spin. Flaps keep the car on the ground. Does a couple pirouettes, if you will. And as he slides back up, close call. And man, oh my goodness. Yeah, that was the 49 of Josh Gambrone. And how close was that? Well, let's find out here. Let's go to the nose view. And watch this. He sees it. He's on the brakes. He's up high. He's up high. Sees the 2 coming up. He's got to make the move down. Boy, it does not get much closer than that. And you think it's close from the nose cam. Watch it from the cockpit view here. Look at this for Gambrone. He sees it. Dives low. Oh, my goodness. What a piece of driving from Josh Gambrone. All right, so back up front we go. Looks like it's going to be officially 30 of 60 complete when we grab the green flag again for this restart. You've got Ken McCullough Jr., the veteran from McCullough Motorsports, now up 33 positions from where he started this race at. And this is kind of that point for Ken McCullough Jr. and a few other drivers where once you flip this track position and get to a spot where he is now, you're trying to hold on to it for the rest of this race because you know things are just going to start to get more and more chaotic as each lap goes by. And then you've got Garrett Maines to his outside in second, Matthew Baker back in third, Matt Lee in fourth with Landon Velicki currently rounding out your top 5. By the way, the other driver cam that we have here tonight, waiting for a good time to take a look at it, it's the 60 of Jeff Merck as he gets ready for another restart. He's up 16 positions from where he started this race at. Currently runs just in front of the 9 of Dawson Wise. It's the driver out of Punta Gorda, Florida. So Jeff Merck still has a little bit of work to do, but you can see some of the big names, not just Jeff Merck, but Kyler Wynn. I mean, you look back even further here, you got Dawson Wise, Mark Von Dell. A lot of drivers that are starting to make their way to the front. Sean Corbett. They're going to be making some noise here in that long single file line. Group of drivers that may be topped off because now it becomes a little bit closer on trying to make this a one-stopper on fuel. See who feels like they can make it on a one-stop and who can't. So here we go. Field back in the hands of Ken McCullough Jr. and the one of Garrett Maines. They will now roll back into the Geico restart zone. Green flag is back in the air, and we are officially halfway through the race here tonight at Talladega. Good restart for the front row. Garrett Maines able to match Ken McCullough Jr. And in fact, looks like he's going to beat him down to turn one as they climb the banking, still working through the gears and getting up to speed. Takes these cars probably about 3/4 to a full lap to get fully up to pace. Garrett Maines on the outside, though. Watch it again here from TV3. Look at the run this outside's going to get. Now they'll get lined up. Matt Lee's going to do the pushing. Matthew Baker will now draw even. He's going to help the 3 of Ken McCullough Jr. And looks like the inside's going to be able to fend off that charge this time as they work off into 3. Garrett just about had him clear, but not quite enough as they are just about back up to full speed now. You see the 34 of Michael Triscaro still looking to see if he can grab a win in PGR eSports' Thursday Night Intimidator Superspeedway Series. But he's no stranger to getting the job done here at Tuesday Night Thunder. We'll see if he can maybe find a way to make it happen again here tonight. The 82 of Kyler Wynn, who runs just behind him. That might be the car to watch if you see somebody go 3 wide. John Ward, one of the best pushers in the series. He might try to go with that 82, especially after just getting turned. Well, not really turned, but being part of that last incident and losing some of that track position, you know he's going to want to get it back. But with that pit stop still being in play and some drivers potentially being relatively close on the fuel window, that may kind of prevent us from seeing anybody get too racy here. I say that's not a guarantee. I mean, these guys do all sorts of random things that go against pretty much whatever it seems like we predict. But the point I'm trying to make is I would not be surprised if they stay 2x2 here for pretty much the next 13 to 15 laps until we get to that final pit stop. And then we see the action really start to crank up after that. 32 of 60 laps complete. By the way, if you're just tuning in, certainly appreciate you being here. Hope that you're having a good Tuesday night. As I know we mentioned a little bit that we were closing in on the end of the regular season, but I did also want to mention exactly what the races that we have remaining in the regular season are looking like. And so next week is, hold that thought, Ken McCullough Jr. looks like he's going to peel off. I think he's seen enough, led enough laps. And so he's going to just fall to the back here. He'll have to get back up, though. We'll see if anybody lets the 3-car jump up. And Christopher Carter, will he let him do so? And he looks like he will, but Ken McCullough Jr. is going to decide to stay on the apron for now. And so that's a tough break. The 3's going to lose quite a bit of positioning. All right, so back to what we were getting ready to kind of talk about just a little bit, which was the upcoming schedule. This is the last race that we'll see in the month of September, and to open up October, we'll be back at Talladega Superspeedway. And of course, every race is going to be in the Xfinity car this season. After Talladega, we'll go back to Daytona before we round out the season with Talladega 2 more times after that. And then the playoffs will go Talladega to open it up. That'll be the first race in the first round. And then the second race in the first round will also, it'll switch to Daytona. And then round 2 is going to be Daytona followed by Talladega. And then the championship race will be at Talladega. And then don't forget, once we get to the playoffs, the races get a little bit longer in terms of race length. We'll see it go from 60 laps up to 75 laps. And then that championship event will be 100 laps. Well, how about one of the teams that I feel like we really haven't shown much love to here tonight? And that is the Jack Shack. Maybe because we're used to having an onboard view with Trevor Osmernoth, but he doesn't need one here tonight. Maybe trying to change up the superstition a little bit, as the 89 has been working his way to the front. He's up 14 positions from where he started this race at. Watch for Osmernoth to potentially get linked up here with a couple of his Jack Shack teammates and try to get to the front. By the way, I mentioned Dawson Wise. Thought he was running with the Jack Shack here tonight, but it looks like he's actually going to be running with RMR eSports instead. At least that's the Discord that we saw him in. Another one of the Jack Shack drivers you got to show some love to here tonight, Jared Haynes in the number 7. He's been putting in some work right now. He's back to 23rd, but I think this is just kind of riding around, playing it safe. Doesn't feel like there's really any need to try to get to the front. Trouble just in front of Haynes there. That's Navarro and a few others. Chase Mastretta, it looks like. Mastretta is going to save it, as will the 44 of Andrew Navarro. But this is going to split up the field now just a little bit, As boy, was this a close one here for Andrew Navarro working through 3 and 4. Watch this. It's a 44. Is he going to just, is there a checkup? Yeah, there is. Oh, big checkup. Man, that was a massive stack up. Gotta wonder what caused one like that. Let's see if we can get any sort of a better view here. In fact, we'll go to the chase cam for Navarro. Was there anything ahead that would have caused a stack up this big? Oh, yeah, there was. A close call further towards the front there. That might have been Jeff Merck. It translates out back. Eckert has to get on the brakes, as does Navarro. He gets slammed out back here from Chase Mastretta, who's kind of in the same boat, trying to check up as quick as he can. And watch this. Navarro gets sideways, as does Mastretta. But again, both drivers somehow able to save it. They keep it together, and they are able to keep going. And yeah, it looks like it was indeed Jeff Merck, the other car that got kind of put out of shape right here. As that's the 62 of Veliky with a bit of a run. And as they checked up in front, Veliky gets in the back of Merck. That was another good save. Boy, we have seen a lot of close calls, but a lot of really good saves here tonight from these drivers to help keep the race, and really as good as it's been. I mean, we've only seen a couple cautions. Of course, one being for that stage break. So up front now, after the shakeup, it's now Michael Triscaro on the 34 for NBG Motorsports, who leads the pack. Garrett Maines on his outside. The one car going to get clear. The 34 down the backstretch. Now he'll drop low to take the lead as here comes Kyler Wynn and John Ward on the outside. Mike Davenport, John Mullahan there as well. But after that, it is just about all single file. We're still about 10, I would say about 10 to 12 laps away from that final fuel window being open to make it all the way to the finish. And if there was any concern for that group out back and if they'd be able to stick with the leaders, well, the answer is they have. Currently sitting just 1 second back is Jeff Merck from the back bumper of Christopher Carter. That is well within drafting range. And the 60 car should be able to get back up there. They're not climbing this kind of the gap, or they're not closing the gap quite as quickly as I would have expected here. Wonder if the 60 maybe having just a little bit of damage is contributing to that, but that front group is single file, pretty organized, as it looks like now Jeff Merck has closed a little bit closer into that drafting range, and now he's getting a big pull, and I think they're going to be there probably with around 23, maybe 22 and a half laps to go. And man, look at the speed for Jeff Merck right there as he was going into 3, upwards of 195 miles an hour for the NBG Motorsports driver, as he has now just about arrived on the scene. And you know what? I know we took the view away there as we move up now to Garrett Maines' cockpit, but we'll go back and actually watch the run they get here. And the big question is going to be, does Merck decide to take it high, or does he just stay single file for now? That's the 25 of Chris Carter. By the way, great recovery for Chris as well. If you remember back to just earlier in this race, he found himself not on the lead lap, but he got that caution, kept his head down. And Christopher Carter, by the way, one of the independent drivers, he does not work with the team. So this is a great run he's got going here tonight, back inside the top 20. And you know he's going to be looking for more after that final pit stop is all said and done. Jeff Merck got the run, and he jumped to the outside. He gets a push from Justin Mills and Logan York, but just in front, 3 more of them are going to jump high as well. Looks like it's Malik Ray leading the charge, Devin Ray and Jared Haynes for the Jack Shack. Those 2 teammates are going to follow in suit as well. Meanwhile, back up front, Kyler Wynn was able to get clear of Garrett Maines. He moved to the bottom, and that puts John Ward now in front of the outside. Ward's going to need some help, though. The 55 of Davenport and the 2 of John Mullahan. We'll see if they're able to give it to him here. Nothing doing just yet. 2 more cars out back. It's still the 2-car tandem of Malik Ray and Devin Ray trying to get up to help these 2, but now Mullahan's going to bail to the inside. More and more drivers starting to show potential signs of making a pit stop, which again we expect to be probably somewhere right around 15 to 14 laps to go. Maybe 16, depending on how far you feel like you can stretch it. And now we're going to see a little bit of 3-wide action. Malik Ray, Devin Ray trying to get something happening, but I just don't think they're going to have the help to make it happen right here. That's going to stall the middle as now Davenport is going to try to go to the inside. David Sheets checks up, cuts him a break. Garrett Maines will jump back to the outside. He wants to lead back here from Kyler Wynn. This will be coming to 21 laps to go. Malik Ray is going to jump in line. Devin Ray follows suit. Now it's the 34 Triscaro. He got out of shape right there as they were coming through the tri-oval. And he still finds a way to hold on. John Ward now the leader of the outside, the Hyper Motorsports captain. He wants a chance to go to the front here. And at this point, everybody's trying to position themselves to be as close to the front as they can for this green flag pit stop. By the way, talked about, it's good to see everybody out watching here tonight. Big Roost in the chat. Cody Nagels, Venom Chase, and then Donalda Adams says, great broadcasting, Austin. Certainly appreciate that. Again, glad to see everybody out here tonight talking in the chat. This has been a fun one so far. In fact, you know, I don't want to jinx it, but I'll at least say up to this point, this has been one of the best races that we have seen so far this season, especially the last half of Stage 1. I mean, that was incredible stuff. As by the way, further back there, we see Evan Carlbon. It looks like he's going to make a pit stop here. He's a 71. And we go in for his first pit stop. Ken McCullough Jr. kind of in the same boat, it looks like. And that's Jimmy Emos as well, who had to make a pit stop. By the way, I meant to give a brief update on Larry McDonald, who we saw earlier have to go to the pits after an issue getting into the pits. And we did get confirmation from Larry himself that it was an issue. He had no brakes, so that is why he overshot the pits and unfortunately had to retire that race car here for the night. All right, well, here we go. Officially 20 laps to go from Talladega. Things are starting to heat up just a little bit. And we are going to be seeing that pit stop here probably in the next handful of laps. So before things get too chaotic, we're going to take a quick break. We'll go side by side so you don't miss a thing. Stick with us. We'll be back as Malik Ray and John Ward lead at Talladega.
I played a couple of simulators, and this was like very responsive. Especially the hydraulics and stuff, the motion and stuff was really, really on point.
But you feel like you're really driving. It feels real.
It adds so much to the experience. It's just really, really cool.
It was pretty awesome.
Green flag is in the air. We are racing.
3x3. Almost no trouble. Around goes Alex Hill.
On into the outside wall goes Hill. They're wrecking big time out back. We're not going to throw a caution. Finish. Who gets it at the line? Cody Nagels wins it at Talladega.
Welcome back to Talladega Superspeedway. Pit stops underway, and it looks like so far so good for the group that just made their way down. Matthew Baker, Garrett Maines, Michael Triscaro, Christopher Carter, looks like Sean Corbett, Heath Job, David Sheets, Mark Von Dell, and multiple others all bringing it down here for what is going to be their final stop here of the night. We'll see if everybody gets out just as clean as they got in, and then we'll turn our attention up front to see when this group decides to come in. Now 16 laps to go. That's cutting it a little bit close. I think this group might be in a little bit better position, at least if we have to go into overtime. We'll see if anybody stretches it another lap or if they all indeed have to make their pit stop right here. So they work their way off of 4. Looks like we're going to see quite a bit of them bailed out of the pits. This is a big group. Watch out. This is going to get tight. Ethan Eckert coming in way too hot. Oh, man, the 12 somehow misses everybody. And if he didn't speed, that was a phenomenal pit stop from Eckert and the amount of positions he gained. And, in fact, really this whole group. I mean, look how many cars that is. They were 3-4 wide, all trying to find a way to get in. Nicely done. What a pit stop. Man, everybody's been on point here tonight. I mean, I'll tell you what, this makes it enjoyable as a broadcaster to watch. When we've had racing this good, we've had pit stops this great as well. And now the question is, can they all make it out? And guess what? Why not? Because they all got in great, and looks like they're all going to get out just as good as well. Jared Haynes looking for a little bit of room to work in between Mullihan and Ethan Eckert. And now here comes the question of where does that group that already pit fare with this group that just went in? You see Garrett Maines in the distance, roaring his way through turn 1 and 2. He's already up to full pace. Malik Ray, Kyler Wynn, and everybody else that just made that pit stop is still trying to get back up to speed. They'll now merge back onto the racetrack. But watch for Garrett Maines. They're going to continue to pick them off one by one, and they will probably get by pretty much this entire pack by the time they're off of turn number 4. And so once everybody gets grouped up, it's going to be 14 laps to go. You're good on fuel. You're good on tires. And it is time to put the head down and get to business because, I mean, frankly, this is going to be a big one here tonight. We talked about the pot maybe being a little bit over what it was stated in the flyer. That's going to result in big payouts and also a big opportunity still for a lot of drivers up here to potentially grab their first win of the season. You look at Ethan Eckert. Maybe he can find a way to get the job done after heartbreak last week. How about Jared Haynes in the 5th spot? Can he find a way to find victory lane? John Mullahan, Dawson Wise. Can he get a little bit of a kind of a one-off victory here tonight if he can find his way to the front? John Ward, still looking for his first win of the season. And then you've got some of the big hitters that are also trying to make their way back to the front. And so then comes the question of who is going to get that third lane working first. I would look a little bit further back, right around Brock Westmoreland, Matthew Baker, but it looks like it's going to be even further back than that. Here comes Joshua McCullough and Christopher McCullough, two of the McCullough Motorsports teammates. They're going to try their hand at the top groove here. Chris is pushing for all it's worth right now in the back of Joshua McCullough. Looks like Dylan Jones. He's going to try to stir the pot a little bit as well. He'll help this third lane. Now it's going to be 13 laps to go. We are closing in. Actually, we're now officially in the last quarter of this race. And man, oh man, you know things are going to start getting really, really dicey at some point. Matthew Baker, now he makes his way to the top lane. As this top lane continues to grow, more drivers are going to be tempted to jump up here. Watch the 5 of Baker. There goes Garrett Maines. Now he's going to jump to the top. Look at the speed for Matthew Baker. The RPM's maxing out as he tops out at 196. Going off into turn 3. More drivers jumping up as, we had one on the apron there. I believe that was Jimmy Emos. And that's going to put him back to 3x3. Now it's Garrett Maines in charge of the lead pushing position as he tries to duck out before he'll give a little bit of a push here to Ethan Eckert as they work their way through the trial wall. Malik Ray currently finds himself leading that middle line, and Kyler Wynn, an issue here for the 82, as now Jared Haynes is going to get turned. The 7 of Haynes goes around. Can he hold on to it? I'm not sure if he did. Back up on the racetrack. Now everybody tries to miss him. Haynes into the outside wall. And I can't tell if Haynes missed the inside wall. He's got pretty significant damage to the rear of that car. And then when he came back up there, a little bit more damage. Let's go back and take a look there. What happened to Jared Haynes? It doesn't bring out the caution as it's just a one-car incident. But he was running with the leaders here in the pack. And as they get 4 wide right here, just slight contact between him and Joshua McCullough sends him down, and that's where he gets the bumper damage. He does save it. The problem is here, he just can't quite get slowed up enough, and boy, lucky, very, very lucky that there were not oncoming traffic at the same time because that would have been huge. And instead, I think Haynes gets away with one as now we got caution. Trouble here. Looking for exactly where the trouble is. I don't see any cars around here. And Jeff Merck maybe with some damage here. Not sure if... I don't think that was the incident, though. Dawson Wise showing he may have had some trouble here. And potentially that being what brought out the caution. As the number 9 car, he does have some left rear bumper damage as well. Just trying to get a view of the front of this car. Seems to be okay there, but yeah, certainly some contact from something. The question is what? Let's back it up here and take a look. So they were 4 wide as York kind of in a bit of an awkward spot in the middle. In fact, this is... You know, we talk about 4 wide, but sometimes 4 wide almost looks like guys aren't trying to be 4 wide. They almost go 5 wide here for a minute. In fact, do they get 5 wide? Yeah, they almost do, but Westmoreland, I think, sees it, says, no, thank you. And then right there, I think there's just a little bit of right rear net code between Dawson Wise and then, of course, the left front of Brock Westmoreland is they were running really, really tight here. And is Brock going to move down a little bit? Yes, he does. The 4 car starts moving down the racetrack. And then as he sees the 0-2 come down, maybe he moves down even more and just tight quarters. Dawson Wise gets kind of caught by that left front right rear net code off the 4. And then once they get hooked together, sends Dawson Wise back to the inside. He goes for a spin. Gets hit there a couple times in that left rear. But overall, again, not too bad. Things certainly could have been worse there for the number 9 car. But for Dawson Wise. I think he's going to escape this one again relatively unscathed. It's kind of surprising how much we've been able to say that here tonight, but certainly a lucky call right there. Give you a couple more views of this one here. How about from the cockpit shot? Dawson Wise. Loops it around, locks it down, is able to come to a halt just before, well, not just before, but quite a bit before he gets that inside safer barrier. Boy, really lucky there. I think that was John Mullihan. He's able to keep from missing him. All right, so as we go back live, it's going to give us a restart within 10 laps to go. And up front, leading the race is going to be the 12 of Ethan Eckert. Garrett Maines on the outside. And you've got Malik Ray, Matt Lee in row 2, with Matthew Baker, Trevor Osranoff in row number 3. Well, if you're just tuning in, boy, you picked a good time to do it. Things are getting ready to start picking up right now, especially with how few laps we're going to have once we go back to green. But looks like lights are still on the pace car, so it's going to be more like a 7-lap to go restart. Makes it even less, and that's going to dice things up even more. Let's see if we can put one of these guys up here for a quick word. Let's going to see some of the drivers that we had up here near the front. Let's see if we can get a word here with Matthew Baker. Looks like he's got himself up here in the top 5. Hey Baker, this is Austin up in the booth. You got a copy?
And you always interview me and I keep wrecking out. You better stop doing it.
Well, I won't ask you about how your race is going. I'm more curious about how it's felt with kind of the pack racing that we've seen. I mean, it's been a pretty good one here tonight. We've seen 3 and 4 wide. What have you kind of seen from your point of view?
I don't know. I feel like I've been playing it pretty conservative this race. Wasn't able to put a qual out down on track positions, everything. Now it's going to be close on fuel, so if you have another wreck, I think the guys up front here, probably the top 10, could only make one green white checkered. So if they keep watering them up for 20th, then we may be screwed. But I know that stage finish was crazy. I pit right before it, and Matt and Garrett didn't get any stage points, so we're still there in the battle. But this has been a lot of fun. A lot of good drivers here up front, and we'll see how it plays out to the end.
Well, we heard Landon Velicki earlier say that there was a couple of ego battles going on at the front. Do you feel like that's kind of died down, or do you think that's kind of part of the reason we're seeing some of the great racing right now?
I think Malik's trying to help his teammate as much as he can, Kyler, and Malik just staying up there in the middle really stacked up everything that was going on the bottom, and it fell all the way towards the back. So, I don't know. We'll see what happens here. Hopefully we don't have any boneheaded moves. We pride ourselves in this league on clean racing, so hopefully we can end it under green here and get home with a podium finish.
Sounds like a plan. Well, hey, Baker, we won't ask you anything else, but we appreciate you giving us a couple words here tonight. Good luck the rest of the way.
Thanks, brother.
There you go, Matthew Baker. Tell you what, he is probably one of the easiest guys to interview because he's always so calm and collected, it seems like, regardless of the position he's running in. I mean, he's getting ready to restart in the top 5, and he mentioned it. You've got big names up here. It's going to be a short sprint to the finish, and that together heads for pretty much a ticking time bomb here, and we'll see if the timer runs out within the course of 7 laps, or I guess I should say 6, which is the distance we're going to have to go to make it to the white flag in order to make this race official. I'm going to go ahead and make a bold call and say we're not done with cautions just yet. I think we got another 1 or 2, and that's going to be interesting because, again, as Matthew Baker noted, some of these guys at the front, if we head into overtime, they may only be good for 1, so we'll have to see how that pans out. Now, if we get a caution, I'd say pretty much right out of the gate or maybe just a couple laps in, it might help drivers out a little bit because, again, you're still in regulation and you're saving fuel. It's once you get to having to go past regulation that it starts to become a little bit more of a concern. All right, so 7 laps to go. Pick your favorite. Who do you got up here to potentially get the job done? Trevor Osranoff into 89. Talked about him earlier. I think he's the dark horse pick. Not necessarily, but I think here tonight he might be looking for some help from his teammates. Doesn't have a ton of them up here right now. Still looking for Devin Ray, Jared Haynes to potentially get back to the front. And as for Jared Haynes, and by the way, I did mean to mention this earlier. I know we talked about it in race info, but no fast spare here tonight. So that means that, even though we haven't had much carnage, any drivers that have sustained damage, they've had to get it fixed manually, and that could be some of the reason we haven't seen some of the damage cards back at the front, at least not yet. But if we start tearing cars up, that could change things around here pretty quickly. All right, pace car going to make the left turn, back down the pits. He's getting ready to grab the popcorn, and he's going to be watching this one, and he's hoping, as Matthew Baker was as well that we can go green all the way to the finish. Maybe get something similar to the product that we saw there in the end of the stage. All right, here we go. Field back in the hands of Garrett Maines and Ethan Eckert, Malik Ray, Matt Lee. They'll get lined up. Green flag is back in the air. 7 laps to go in race 8 at Talladega. And it's a good restart for the 12 of Ethan Eckert. Maybe a little too good. The 12 able to jump down, though. He'll now await the push from Garrett Maines. We'll see if the 1 of Maines decides to jump up. No move yet. The 7 of Malik Ray pushing for all he's worth. He's hoping he can get clear to the top, and he will. Looks like Matt Lee's going to jump in tow. Who's going to jump back to the outside first? Looks like it's Lee. Looks like it's going to be Lee, and now Malik Ray's going to cover. Eckert decides to go high to try to block the run. And a bit of a stack up. Watch out back. It looks like Joshua McCullough had to dive low there to avoid a wreck. Now the 05's trying to get back up to the middle. They're going almost 4 wide out back. Mastretta trying to get lined up with the 2 of John Mullahan, but it's the 02 of Logan York that leads that third lane. No help as of yet. And so he's going to try to regroup. He'll duck back to the inside and try to set that run up again. Looking to the third lane again. This time it's going to be Kyler Wynn and Landon Velicky. 6 laps to go. Up front, they're still dicing it up. The 12 of Eckert back to the inside. He saw them jumping low out back. Boy, this third lane, a lot of guys wanting to lead it, but not a lot of guys necessarily wanting to do the pushing, at least not as of yet. York, Mullahan, and Mastretta trying to get up to those 2 leaders. Now Lee gets sideways off the push from Malik Ray. Almost got into the 12 of Eckert, but he was able to save it. And they all are able to keep it together. And this is where you get nervous. Oh, hold on. Trouble out back. We got 1. Do they hold on? No, they don't. They're going to wreck. York goes around. He's going to collect a few more. Mullahan gets in it. Jeff Merck gets turned at the end. Andrew Navarro, I believe, got up into the outside wall. Caution is out. And looks like we will be headed to either a 2-lap shootout or potentially our first overtime here tonight. Well, you almost kind of knew it was just a matter of time before something had to happen. And boy, they were all sorts of disorganized out back. You knew something was going to give, and it finally did here. Question is, where exactly does it all start? Let's go back here. This kind of starts right around the 44 of Andrew Navarro and the 02 of Logan York. We'll go to the chopper view first here. And so the 3 of Ken McCullough Jr., he's going to get hooked into the outside wall. You see Logan York trying to help this 3 out, trying to push him up to the 55 of Davenport, but all right as York goes to push him, Ken moves up just ever so slightly, and so York's trying to line him up to be center, and then right as Ken gets just a little bit up there at the last second. The problem with that is that, again, with how kind of on edge these cars are now, that slight contact, even as little offset as it was, turns the 3 of Ken McCullough Jr. up into that outside wall. Logan York gets out of the throttle, but has to go 4 wide to keep it off the 3, and just can't quite do it. A little bit of contact sends him into the 44 of Andrew Navarro. Navarro gets down into the 45 of Corbett. Back up the racetrack goes York, and then the wreck's on from there. You see Ken McCullough Jr. and the 44 Navarro getting up into the outside wall. May have had a little more trouble up front than that, as there's Jeff Merck. He gets sent around, as did John Mullahan. Just overall, again, tight racing towards the end of this. Everybody's pushing and shoving, and I was just getting ready to say that at this point, you know, earlier we saw kind of the delicate pushing, but now drivers are starting to try a little bit more shoving, and fortunately that time it just doesn't work out too well for either party. Give you a couple more views of this one. So there was the initial contact. Pretty big hit for York. Oh, Dawson Wise. I didn't even notice that initially. That's a big hit for Dawson Wise as well, and in fact, destroys the front end of his race car. I think he's going to go pretty much straight up into the outside wall right here, as there was just not really much else he could do. And so as Dawson Wise makes heavy contact with the outside safer barrier, that's probably going to put an end to his night just about here. Watch it again from the cockpit view. Trying to ride out back, sees it happen, and it's going to dive low, but just, oh man, just barely gets collected and then breaks the steering, and maybe even had a little bit of a wheel issue there as well. And then out in front, see the close call there for Sean Corbett. Was able to save it, as they had a couple of them that almost spun. Were able to hold on to it back up front. Actually, I do want to go back and get one more view of this here. Look at the Logan York spin one more time. Kind of show you this from a little bit of a different angle. As there's Mullahan, who had nowhere to go, got wedged into that outside safer barrier. And you saw Richard Elliott there, also had kind of nowhere to go. He made pretty heavy contact with the 02. All right, so as we go back live now, setting ourselves up again for what's going to be either a 2-lap shootout or potentially our first overtime. Up front, Ethan Eckert leading the way, trying to get redemption after heartbreak last week. Matt Lee in second, looking to go back-to-back. Then you've got Garrett Maines in third, Malik Ray fourth, and Matthew Baker currently rounding out your top 5. We're going to take another quick break. We'll be back. Stick with us to catch the finish here tonight at Talladega.
I played a couple of simulators, and this was like very responsive. Especially the hydraulics and stuff, the motion and stuff was really, really on point.
Make you feel like you're really driving. It feels real.
It adds so much to the experience. It's just really, really cool.
It was pretty awesome.
Green flag is in the air. We are racing.
3x3.
Almost all trouble around goes Alex Hill.
Hard into the outside wall goes Hill. They're wrecking big time out back. We're not going to throw a caution. To the finish. Who gets it at the line? Cody Nagels wins it at Talladega.
Welcome back to Talladega Superspeedway. Here we go. It's going to be a 2-lap shootout to decide the winner here tonight. Green flag back in the air. Here we go. Good restart for the 12 of Ethan Eckert. He'll quickly jump out to the early lead. And immediately you notice what he did. He jumped to that high lane before they even got to the start-finish line. He wants to control this top so that when it's time to jump to the bottom, he can set sail for the rest of the way. Garrett Maines, though, not going to let that happen very easily. Neither will Matthew Baker, now locked onto the back bumper of that one car. Now they're going to make a little bit of contact. Who is going to get that third lane working as they work onto the backstretch? Nobody going to make a move just yet. They've got to make it back to the white flag for this race to be official. Eckert on the outside. Will he have a chance to drop back low? Here comes Velicky and Ward up top. Christopher McCullough will join the effort as well. A little bit of help out back, but it's nowhere close to being there, at least not as of yet. And so they'll stay 2x2 up front. That third lane, they're going to have a run. Now they're going to have a bigger run. Malik Ray's going to jump high. Looks like Matt Lee will go with him. Velicky goes to the middle. Now Garrett Maines gets loose. They're going to make it, though. White flag in the air. 1 lap to go at Talladega. Matthew Baker got all sorts of sideways there as Kyler Wynn tries to line him back up for a push. As they work their way through 1 and 2, the one car now surges back out in front. Eckert pushing for all he's worth, trying to get Garrett Maines clear. Now the question is, where will the one of Garrett Maines go? Stays in the middle for now. Can Eckert get back clear? Here comes the top. Matt Lee's got to run. Now they start to fishtail as they work off into turn 3. Garrett Maines going to jump to the bottom. I think he'll stay there the rest of the way. Matt Lee all out of shape. Malik Ray trying to line him up for one more big push. Can anybody else jump to the outside? Watch for Velicky to potentially make the move. He won't go yet. Final time into the tribal. Up front, Garrett Maines and Ethan Eckert. Eckert, can he hold on? He'll get split. Garrett Maines gets the push. Garrett Maines will win it at Talladega. He adds another win to the season. Matthew Baker finishes in second. And it looks like it's going to be Ethan Eckert who rounds out the podium. And that's all you could have asked for there in a finish. They kept it clean. And what a great finish that one was. In fact, let's go back and look at this here as Garrett will bring it around. We'll see if he does any celebrations. But before then, again, let's watch this here coming through the tribal. And you know what? I think what cost Ethan right there was Landon splitting, but you can't get mad at Landon. He had a chance to win it, and he was going for it. So here we go. The 12 just loses his help once Veliky goes high. Push coming from the outside, but it didn't matter at that point. The inside was able to stay lined up, and Baker able to push Garrett Maines all the way to the checkered flag. So as we go back live, Garrett Maines will bring it in front of the virtual grandstands, and he'll burn it down. He's got to be feeling pretty good about that one. What a win it was for Garrett Maines. Matthew Baker, what a great recovery for him after last week. And Ethan Eckert, again, heartbreak, not quite able to hold on, but again, a good finish by bringing home that podium. So as Garrett Maines continues to celebrate and burn it down here, just in front of the flagman, we'll take a look at the finishing results here tonight. Garrett Maines, again, is your race winner. Matthew Baker brings home second, and it's Ethan Eckert rounding out the podium. Moving on back to the fourth spot here tonight, it's Kyler Wynn, and rounding out the top 5 is Landon Veliky. Matt Lee finishes in 6th, Brock Westmoreland back in 7th, David Sheets in 8th with Malik Ray in 9th, and Trevor Osronoth rounding out your top 10. John Ward finishes in 11th, Justin Mills in 12th, Joshua McCullough back in 13th with Jeff Merck in 14th. Then it's Christopher McCullough who finished in the 15th spot. And then Josh Gambrone back in 16th. Devin Ray 17th. Christopher Carter in 18th. Tucker McClendon 19th. And Chase Mastretta rounding out your top 20. Andrew Navarro finishes 21st. Dylan Jones 22nd. Evan Carlbon 23rd with Richard Elliott 24th. Michael Triscaro in 25th. Mike Davenport in 26th. Jared Haynes in 27th with Logan York in 28th. Sean Corbett in 29th, and Ken McCullough Jr. rounding out the top 30. Mark Vondell finishes 31st. Jimmy Emos in 32nd with Dawson Wise 33rd. John Mullahan 34th. Heath Job 35th. And Larry McDonald rounds out the field tonight as he finishes in 36th. All right, we're going to go grab your top 3 for interviews. Stick with us. We'll be right back at Talladega. All right, going to start first here tonight with your race winner, Garrett Maines. Garrett, this is Austin up in the booth. You got a copy?
Yes, sir.
Well, you grabbed the win here tonight, and man, what a great race it was. We saw the finish for the stage, and then we saw the finish for the race. What was going through your head there the last couple laps?
Well, in the stage, I kind of had to back off because I was literally blowing up trying to push Ethan. I was like, as much as I want the points, it's just not worth it this early. And, there at the end of the race, I mean, I had no intention of going to the middle lane, but, the assist there, I feel like actually ended up benefiting me, so I can't complain too much. There was a lot of chaos tonight, but it was a good race through and through, and finally, got to finish the job here with the win, so I'll take that.
Yeah, you add another win to the season here tonight, and, I mean, it almost seems like kind of the transition when we got the new update is we're seeing a little bit better racing, and things were pretty clean here tonight. Do you kind of think that that's on any part of the newer update and the way you can push in these cars now, or is it just drivers getting more used to each other?
Yeah, so I think 2 things. I really liked this car for solo, obviously, because I run solo a lot. I liked it when it wasn't easy to pass. And there was a learning curve, obviously, when it became really difficult to push. But I feel like it was much easier to pass now. And selfishly, I did like the old version, but this is far better racing. It's actually a blast to be able to jump up on that third lane and make something work. And I mean, I feel like there's larger swings in pace with the way this works out, but the bottom isn't completely dead. It's not like next gen, but there's clearly some side draft and much larger momentum swings, and it makes it interesting, that's for sure.
Well, it was certainly interesting here tonight, but hey, before we let you head out to go celebrate, is there anyone you want to thank or shout out?
Yeah, well, first of all, big thank you to Baker for a phenomenal push there at the end. That made a world of difference, obviously. I mean, he had a very steady push from exit of 4 all the way to the start finish line. So, thank you to him for sealing the deal for me there. But also got to give a huge shout out to Scott at MCU Body, Lennox, the guys at Ryko Performance, FGR Excel, and Left Court Brothers.
And thank you, of course, for talking to us. Well, Garrett, congrats on the win here tonight, and we will see you next week.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
All right, and now that is going to bring us to your second place finisher, Matthew Baker. Baker, this is Austin up in the booth. You got a copy.
What's up, man?
Well, you bring up a second place finish here tonight, and you're worried about me jinxing you, but it looks like it worked out okay here tonight at least. But man, you didn't really necessarily have too many options there at the end. Was the plan just to kind of stick behind Garrett once he dropped down?
Yeah, and when I saw Matt go up 3 wide, I knew we were in a good spot. I was hoping, Garrett was going to stay committed to the bottom with me, I think, all the way through, just to how strong it was and everyone mixing it up. So I was going to be able to push both of us clear, but Ethan comes down just a tad and kind of turns him up into the middle lane, and that was all she wrote from there. Kyler wasn't tucked to me too quick yet, and once he got to me, we were already 2 lanes behind, so I knew that Garrett was eventually going to block down to the bottom, and I just had to push for my life there.
Well, it's a good recovery after the way things kind of ended last week. And, you're going to obviously it's kind of hard to say. I mean, in terms of closing in on that championship, Garrett gets the win, but you still get an overall good finish. And you just try to kind of keep racking together the consistency, or do you feel like you're going to have to go for at least another win or two?
I think another win or two is going to get me close, but, the Michigan race and the race last week, coming down to the end really put me in a bad spot. I was probably 10 points ahead of Garrett in turn 3, and then it all unwound from the top lane. So just sucks, but we'll try and close out the regular season as much as we can. I'm not really worried about the regular season championship. I'm worried about getting Merck and Triscaro in and getting them good days to run. So just unfortunate that they've had such a rough season to start off, but hopefully the back half of the season can pick it up, and we can go out and all fight for a championship again.
Absolutely. Well, hey, before we let you head out here tonight, is there anyone you want to thank or shout out?
Yeah, just thanks to Coasting Thunder, MVG Motorsports, Baker & Son Construction. You got the PGR 500 on the hood with the Halloween scheme looking good, and the money stop. I would want to, again, it's September, coming to the end of September, but I still got the purple on a little bit with the dark purple for suicide awareness. So if you see something, say something, and look out for your buddies. You never know who could be going through a tough day. We do this for fun. We don't get on here to bully anyone. Even if people are making dumb moves, we're still all a family. So, and I take suicide pretty seriously since we lose so much in the military. And thanks to you for broadcasting, and thanks to Ron for always putting on a great league. It was a great race. To be honest, just a couple cautions, but a lot of fun for sure. Thanks to family watching back at home.
Yeah, it certainly was a fun race, and thank you, Matthew Baker, for talking to us. Congrats again on the second place finish, and we'll see you next week. All right, and now that is going to bring us to your third place finisher, the man rounding out the podium, Ethan Eckert. Ethan, this is Austin up in the booth. You got a copy?
Yeah, I do. How you doing?
Good. Well, second week you finish in the top 3, but also second week that it's heartbreak at the end. Did you feel like there was anything you could have done different?
No, not really. It wasn't last week where I kind of did it to myself, so I'm happy with the P3.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's a good finish. You get a payout, and, at a certain point as a driver, you keep racking together these podiums. We know the win's going to come eventually, but how important is it just to help secure yourself into making it to that first round of the playoffs, to just keep putting together these good finishes?
Well, like I said last week, I was going to that race win or go home, and now I found myself 2 spots out of the cut line, so I'm racing for points now.
That's how quickly things can change, especially with the chaos. But, overall, just a great run tonight, Ethan. You led a bunch of laps. You were up front all night. So before we let you head out, is there anyone you want to thank or shout out?
Thanks to you for broadcasting it. Thanks to Ron for putting it on. Thanks to the whole field for having a great race.
Thank you for talking to us. Ethan, congrats again on the third place finish, and we'll see you next week.
Thank you.
All right, well, that is going to wrap up our coverage here tonight. What a great race it was. Fun to watch, as Jack Kignite said. I agree. I think that was one of my favorite races of the season. We had a great stage finish. We had a great race finish, and only a couple cautions in between. Garrett Maines gets the win here tonight. We'll be back next week with more Tuesday Night Thunder action. But as for tonight, that's it for me, Austin Green, here on PGR eSports. As always, thank you all so much for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed, and until next time, have a good night.